Welcome to tonight's live stream. I'm going to get started in a minute. I just need a minute to let everybody know on social media that the live stream is going on. What's going on, Yakizo and Steve Wallamack? Tonight's live stream is going to be about simps on these streaming services and other social media like your Instagram, your Twitch, and your OnlyFans. And I decided to do this live stream because many people in the comic book collecting world, the sci-fi world, and the fantasy world, and the goth subculture, parts of a community that I have been a part of for over 30 years, have been taken advantage of by these predators. And I wanted to help a lot of those guys out there understand why this behavior is destructive for them. Now, a lot of these guys out here who are part of those communities, they often go to places like streaming services like Twitch, either to go out here and watch video games or to play on these streaming services. And many comic fans, they oftentimes go to places like Instagram to look at different comics or different cosplayers, but they don't know about the dangers of socially interacting with this growing crowd of female predators who have been taking on to these platforms and using them as a money making tool. And while they're using it as a money making tool, using it to take advantage of many of the guys out here who really don't have enough social skills to understand that they are being taken advantage of by a female predator. Now, what's been happening now on many of these streaming services like Twitch and what's happening now on OnlyFans is and Instagram is you have a lot of these so-called models and so-called cosplayers coming on to these streaming services, and they'll put on these skimpy outfits and they'll play video games while wearing these skimpy outfits. And because a lot of these guys, they are so caught up in their emotions regarding how these women appear on screen in these skimpy outfits, they start giving these women lots of money in things like super chats, which is done on YouTube, but they have the similar thing on Twitch. Some guys will drop donations into their Patreon, and others will go out and drop money on their cash apps. And I remember a case of one guy I did a live stream about a couple of months ago who dropped a $40,000 pledge on this streamer called Belle Delphine. And that was one of them was a very troubling event as I saw it, because that was like one of the high marks on the level of simping as related to guys and the streaming services. And the problem, as I've seen it, has gotten worse over the last year or so. Now, what is fueling a lot of this is that a lot of these guys, again, they did not get the male life skills that they were supposed to get from their fathers. They really didn't get good communication about how to have interactions with women. And because they didn't get that, they're living in a rose colored world. And a lot of these guys, because they're living in a rose colored world, they're thinking that a social interaction with someone on social media, whether it be a cam girl or an e-girl or one of these Twitch streamers or one of these people on these OnlyFans, is an actual interaction with a real person. And because they're thinking this, they don't understand that this person is presenting a fantasy for them, and this fantasy is what they're using to draw you in. And this fantasy is the thing that is leading to these guys, because they don't have a good understanding of social interactions. They're sitting there thinking, oh, I'm watching this girl on Twitch, and I'm watching this girl on Instagram, and I'm thinking because I am going out here and she's dropping a heart on my comment, that she actually has some interest in me, and because she is responding to me, that this is something that I should reward with some money. It's really a really messed up perspective on things when you really look at it, and it shows that these guys really, they don't understand what's going on here as related to these women who are on these platforms and streaming services. These women on these platforms and these streaming services, they are basically doing this just to get the money. And in many cases, they are no different than the strippers in the strip bar, because when you take a critical examination of these cam girls who are on Twitch, who are also streaming on Twitch, and these girls who are being these so-called Instagram models, and these women who are now flocking to this OnlyFans section of Twitter, all of these women, they basically are no different than the strippers in the strip bar, because when you really take that critical examination of it, the stripper in the strip bar, when she goes out here and puts on her show, she puts on her show so that the guys will be caught up in their lust and give her tips. And they give her the tips for the strip show she puts on. They give her extra money for the lap dances she gives them, and possibly, eventually, in some cases, she will go home with some of these guys to even give them even more money. But many of the simps who are online, they can't see how they're watching these girls on these shows is no different than heading out to a strip bar, and they can't see how these women are just the same thing as one of these strippers in the strip bar. And many of these girls, they'll sit there and try to tell you that what they're doing is very different than a stripper, but it is the exact same behavior. And the person is doing this is in the exact same mindset as a stripper. That's what many of these simps don't understand, because when it comes down to a simp, he's not really thinking critically about women. He's just so happy to get attention from any female that he cannot really think about the attention he's receiving. With a lot of these simps, they're just so happy to get a response from one of these Twitch streamers who are doing cam shows, one of these so-called Instagram models, or one of these girls on OnlyFans, that all he's thinking about is the attention he's getting. And because he got a little bit of attention, he thinks that this should be rewarded by giving this girl his hard-earned money. And that's where the big problem lies with a lot of these simps, because they don't really even understand that this woman has absolutely no interest in them at all outside of selling that fantasy to them. So all they're thinking about is selling the fantasy to these guys and then making real money at their expense. And many of these simps, because they're so caught up in the fantasy that this woman is presenting to them, whether it be a cosplay of a favorite comic book, anime, or manga character that they enjoy, or participating in some sort of costume outfit that they're wearing when they're doing their streams or their OnlyFans pictures or even their Patreon pictures. They're only thinking about the fantasy that these women are presenting, not understanding that many of these women in real life wouldn't pee on them if they were on fire. And many of these women really, as I see it, should not even be doing this type of stuff, because what a lot of many of these guys don't understand is many of these women who are doing these shows, they already are in relationships with other men, and many of them have boyfriends. Some of them are even married, and some of them are married with kids. And that's really troubling, because here you have a woman who was supposed to be married and committed to her husband, and she's out here participating, as I see it, in harlot behavior and being out here with a having other men look at her. And I've seen this on Twitter with some of these tweets that I've seen from some of these people who also do OnlyFans. And what's troubling is they're sitting there talking about how their husband has no problem with them taking these pictures, wearing these skimpy outfits, and sometimes even getting topless or wearing thongs out there for other men to look at. And any decent man of character, he's going to say, look, that my wife is a reflection of me. And if my wife is out here and she's putting on these skimpy outfits and for these guys out here and they're looking at her, he's going to have a problem with that, because his wife is supposed to be the one doing that for him and only him, and her doing this for other guys, he's going to have a problem with, because he knows that when you have a woman going out here and she's putting on these skimpy outfits and even getting topless, and sometimes even depending on the streaming service, trying to go very extremes with the G strings and things like that. He's knowing that if these guys are dropping money on in her Patreon, dropping money in her Cash App, this is a bad situation for a guy to be in, because this is supposed to be your wife, and your wife is basically prostituting herself and selling herself to other men. And that's something many of these women really aren't thinking about when they're going out here and doing these streaming shows where they're putting on these skimpy costumes in some cases, or even thinking about when they're doing out here and taking these pictures for these things like Patreons and OnlyFans. Now, some of them do think about this kind of stuff, and know what they're doing when they're doing this kind of stuff. But a lot of these women, they just sitting there, they're doing this kind of stuff and believing that, oh, I'm just having a little fun. I'm just providing a little entertainment. And that's not the case at all. When it comes down to this, when you really boil it down and break it down, this is your women basically participating in, as I see it, business no different than a stripper. And when you have a woman participating in business no different than a stripper, then you're dealing with a female predator, because a stripper is one of the most dangerous female predators out there. This is a woman who, after showing what she does is sell her body to guys, looks at her body for guys in exchange for cash. And when she's in that environment and she sees all of these simps out here looking to offer top dollar to her, what happens is her hypergamy starts to kick in, and instead of her looking to be a partner in a marriage or a partner in a relationship, she starts looking at men as tools and starts looking to find guys who would be the easiest ones to take. So she's not looking at men as men she wants to have a relationship with. She's looking for marks she can take advantage of. And a lot of guys who are in the comic book world, the sci-fi world, the fantasy world, the goth subculture, a lot of these guys don't have the seasoning to understand this, because a lot of these guys don't have a lot of life experience in the world, and they don't really have really good male life skills or male social skills. A lot of them are caught up in the visual, because men are primarily visual. And because a girl has a certain look or a certain aesthetic, or she's looking like a certain character, what happens is these guys get caught up in their emotions regarding what they're seeing, and they start looking to get this woman's attention. And as they're trying to get her attention, they start going out here and doing things like dropping big pledges to get their name called out on a Twitch stream, or to get their name called out on OnlyFans, or they'll go out here looking to go buy more pictures and more merchandise, and they will sit there and continue to spend money, not understanding that this is all part of the game that this woman is running, and she's running this game in order to get paid at their expense. And that's what the simp doesn't understand about these cam chicks and these OnlyFans and all of these Instagram models, is that they're running a game on them, and they're giving them nothing in return but maybe a look or two at them on a show, or a couple of pictures that mean absolutely nothing to her. I mean, I find it really sad when I see guys out here going out here and spending $10 to $20 a week on pictures of a girl from a streaming service, and thinking that they're doing something when all you're doing is making her rich at your expense. I mean, if you took that $10 to $20 and put it in a bank or invested it in yourself, go out here and, go get you some books like Stop Simpin', which I write, or books like Misadventures of Captain Save-'em, you could actually wind up spending that money and getting a return on your investment, because when you invest in yourself, what happens is you start to see a payoff sooner rather than later. And it's better for you to spend some money on an ebook or a paperback like Stop Simpin' rather than go out here and give her your money, because when you spend money on an ebook like Stop Simpin', and you are going out here and working on improving yourself, so that you don't have to sit there and watch some girl in skimpy clothes or a skimpy costume and think that that's a social interaction with a woman. You will go out here and have real social interactions with real women, and you'll learn the life skills that will help you be able to have real lasting relationships with real people, and not be disconnected from people like a lot of these simps who go on these online streaming services, or are sitting there watching women on Instagram and going on OnlyFans are doing. Because when you're on those type of services, you're not having a real social interaction with a woman. You're not really seeing a real person. Again, you are just seeing a fantasy that she's creating, and you're caught up in the fantasy she has presented about herself. This is a story that she's telling about herself to draw you in. And as she draws you in, all she wants to do is sell you those pictures of herself or sell you whatever merchandise she's selling. So she's not really looking for any, like the stripper, not looking for any sort of personal relationship. But a lot of these guys, they don't know this. They're just thinking, oh, I saw this woman on this social media platform, but she's not looking to be social with you at all. No, this female predator is looking to get paid at your expense. And I just don't want to see guys out here get taken advantage of. And I've seen so many get taken advantage of by these repackaged strippers. And it's not good at all to see these guys get taken advantage of by these repackaged strippers. Now, they won't say that they're the same thing as strippers, but when you look at their actions, you look at their behavior, it's just like the strippers in the strip club. And just like the strippers in the strip club, they eventually get to the point where they become cold, they become cynical, they become disconnected, because when you're in an environment and you're going out here showing your body to different guys, you become a very numb person. You become very detached, and you become very indifferent to people in general. And that leads to, again, that whole mindset of seeing a man as a tool. And that tool mindset is the thing that can lead to an escalation for a lot of these so-called Instagram models, these Twitch streamers, and these, OnlyFans girls. It's going to lead to an escalation of their behavior. Now, what most people don't understand is that I see the same pattern with these streamers and these OnlyFans and Instagram models that we saw what happened with Backpage.com. Now, as anybody remembers, Backpage.com, when it originally started, was supposed to be a site that was supposed to be like Craigslist, and it was supposed to be a place for some want ads and ads for selling things like cars, selling things like used items and kitschy items. And that website, what happened to Backpage was Backpage got hijacked by, a lot of these women out here, a lot of these escorts, a lot of these prostitutes, and a lot of these strippers. Thank you, Nick Ooh, for the super chat. Yeah, I would join Manosphere panels, but the Manosphere is a complete mess. So I'd rather just roll solo and just do streams like this, because the Manosphere won't talk about things like this. This is something that really affects a lot of people who are a part of the scene I'm in, the comic scene, the sci-fi scene, the fantasy scene, the goth subculture. We really have to deal with a lot of this lately, because a lot of the cosplay girls and a lot of the Twitch streamers as of late, they have been, taking advantage of a lot of the comic fans and the guys in the goth scene, because they don't know any better about social relationships with women. And these guys are ponying up huge amounts of money to give to these girls, and they're practically just wasting this money when they could be out here building themselves up instead of investing in a fantasy relationship. So I remember, let me get back to my point on Backpage.com. Now, again, Backpage.com, when it first came out, People used it to sell used cars, old TVs, vintage furniture, and then the strippers came on, the prostitutes came on, the escorts came on, and eventually what happened to Backpage.com was it got so filled with these types of unsavory, predatory females that the federal government was forced to shut Backpage.com down. And that site, once it got shut down, what happened was all of those predatory women, they decided to migrate to another website. And what happened was the streaming service Twitch got a huge flood of these kinds of women on their page. So a lot of those women who came from Backpage started to move over to Twitch, and they started putting on streaming shows where they would play these video games. And what they would do is put on these skimpy costumes. One girl was going topless, even though she was putting paint on herself and going on there topless. And they would do this in order to go and take advantage of many of the gamers out there, because a lot of the gamers, a lot of them, again, were comic fans, sci-fi fans, fantasy fans, and goths. And they would go out here and drop big money on these women as they would have these streaming shows. And these guys really wouldn't understand what was going on with these women. And the women practically have taken over the Twitch website, and it's gotten to the point where the male Twitch streamers, they're getting punished these days for minor infractions. Some of them are even getting kicked off, and all they want to do is play games. But the female streamers, they are on the site practically taking it over and practically turning it into the same thing that Backpage once was in spirit. Because when you look at it, these guys what they're doing when they go on these streams is they're looking at these women to lust after them, and that lust is what they're using to give these women money. And again, it's no different than what happens between the transaction between a guy in a strip bar and a stripper. But this is all done electronically. She's in the stream showing off her assets, and the simp gamers, they are dropping money on her, letting her be able to live a lavish lifestyle at their expense. And the Twitch streaming service has practically, again, been hijacked the same way Backpage was hijacked by these predatory females. And even now, our OnlyFans, which was, again, another service that Twitter was creating for people to be able to interact with their fans these days, is also being hijacked by these female predators. And what these female predators are doing on OnlyFans is going out here and making videos of themselves in skimpy outfits, and even going topless and possibly, I think, nude in some cases, and making these videos and pictures and selling them to guys for $10 to $20 a pop on your OnlyFans. And again, OnlyFans is being hijacked the same way that Twitch is being hijacked. The original mission of the website is being hijacked by these female predators, and these female predators are using these websites in order to enrich themselves at the expense of all of these comic fans, sci-fi fans, fantasy fans, goths, wrestling fans. I mean, these guys, they think that they're going out here and spending money to get this woman's attention, and this woman, in many cases, doesn't care about them at all, except for the cash she's going to get from them. And what she's giving them is again, something this guy could get for free on the internet, because these same guys who are out here spending all of this money, I mean, again, anywhere from $5 to thousands of dollars on these girls. This is something that they could have, again, they're getting nothing in return for that. I mean, I'm sitting there, I'm saying to myself, I mean, you're sitting there, you're spending money on these women, and again, you have this internet chock full of all of these free images, but you're going over here, and the reason why you're going over here is because you have been starved for female attention. You don't know how to get female attention. And because you don't want to go out here and put the work in yourself to attract a real woman, you are going out here looking for a substitute. And you think that by putting down a pledge on this woman's stream or paying for her pictures on OnlyFans, that this is going to lead to some sort of relationship. But what you're getting involved with is a covert contract. And this woman never said anything as related to any sort of relationship with you. No, that is something in the head of many of these simps out here. They think that because this woman is on this show in this skimpy outfit and is looking for attention, that the personal statements they make towards them once they drop either one of these pledges or does something is something meant for them. And that's all something that is regarding their messed up mindset. And these guys, they don't really know how to go out here and have a real relationship with real people. They don't have good social skills, because a guy with good social skills, he's not going to be on a Twitch stream watching a girl for 2 hours play a video game, or sitting there waiting for the next set of pictures on OnlyFans from a married woman or a lesbian woman in one case, or looking for the latest pictures from an Instagram model. No, he's going to be too busy living his life and having relationships with real people, because he understands that real relationships with real people are where you really want to be. You don't want to be in a place where you're just sitting there watching some woman on a live stream for 2 hours in a skimpy outfit, or you're sitting there on OnlyFans waiting for the next video and paying through the nose for the next video. I mean, that when I think about that, that's something that's really sad and pathetic, because it just shows that you're not in a good place. And then the sad part is nobody sits there to tell you you're not in a good place, because that's not an interaction with a woman. That's not a social interaction. In fact, it's showing that your behavior is becoming antisocial. And I look at that, and again, this is it's a bad place to be. And I hate to see this type of simping, because this type of simping, it's something that it just shows that these guys really need help. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this stream, is because I see so many guys out here, like in the case of the Belle Delphine, the guy dropping $40,000 on this woman who is living a 6-figure lifestyle at the expense of all those simps out there, when they could be out here building themselves up. I mean, a lot of these guys out here, yeah, you're making good money, but it's showing your social awkwardness shows that you're not wealthy in terms of social skills or life skills, because, a smart man, he's going to take his money to build himself up, because he understands that he has value. And when a guy spends money on a woman who is thousands and thousands of miles away, he is practically devaluing himself. And he's practically telling the world that he's nobody they need to take seriously, and he's practically a joke as a person. That's the message a lot of these simps don't see that they're sending to the world when you drop thousands of dollars on one of these women, is that it's not making you look good dropping this kind of money on this woman. It's making you look like a joke because these women are basically seeing that you're an easy mark, you're an easy tool, and all they have to do is go out here, put on an outfit, or even go, in certain cases like OnlyFans, go topless, and they can make really easy money off really gullible guys. And these guys are sitting there thinking that they're, again, getting something because, oh, I got some nude pictures of a woman, or I got some video of a woman. But you could go over to Pornhub and, again, get all this for free, and you don't have to pay a single dime for any of that stuff. And even though I don't agree with that, again, you could have your money in your pocket, and you could also have your intangibles of manhood, like your dignity, your self-respect, and your self-worth, because those things are worth more than a look at this woman. Those things have higher value than this woman, and those things should be more important to you. I have to agree with you, guy from Red Bank. Never go to Pornhub. It's not really worth it. I'm going to look at some of the chat. What's going on? T-Mac, gorgeous George. Glad to see you here from Japan, Kyle Cray. Yeah, G. Woodward. Yeah, a lot of these men doing this are thirsty for the attention of women, but a lot of these women are also thirsty for attention, and a lot of them have low self-esteem and they don't feel like they're worth anything. So because they don't feel like they're worth anything, they think that if they show off their body, they can get attention from men. And again, this goes back to the point I talked about as related to many of these women who are married and in relationships, and some of them who have children. When they're going out here looking for attention from these men out here, it shows that there's something wrong with her and something wrong at home, because a healthy woman, she wants to get that attention and that affection from her husband. She wants to only show herself to her husband, and she only wants to share herself with her husband. And that's what a healthy woman wants. And it's a dysfunctional woman who goes online to these streaming services looking for the attention of other guys. And the types of guys that they're looking at, they're looking for the attention of, again, these are not guys who are too well in the head, because when you're dealing with simps, in many cases, the simp, he's not coming from a place where he's all there. Again, like I talked about in Stop Simping, the guy is living in a rose-colored world. And I also made that point in The Man Crisis. This guy is living in a rose-colored world, and he's not living in reality. And because his picture of women is based in fantasy, he's looking at the character he's playing and not seeing the content of the character of the person he's looking at. He's not really. I'm glad you're enjoying The Man Crisis, T-Mac. I really made that book to, again, help a lot of guys out here, and I wanted to help guys like I want to do right now, because again, The Man Crisis, one of the reasons why I wrote it, because I see so many guys out here who are in crisis, and these simps who are watching these streaming services and these OnlyFans, these are men in crisis. I mean, they are men in crisis, and the crisis is that they don't have the male life skills to understand that they're being lured in by a female predator who is using her body to sell them. And what she's selling them, again, is the same type of product that he'd get at a strip bar. And what's even sadder is he's spending more on her, or just as much as he spends at the strip bar. And yeah, Ronald K. Armstrong, thanks for the super chat. Yeah, and the fathers aren't teaching their sons their value. Because if a father was in the home, he'd be sitting down with his son and talking to him like I'm talking to you guys right now. He'd be sitting there telling you, yeah, these streaming services that these women are on, this is not what you want to be spending your money and your time on, because it's going to warp your perceptions, and it's going to warp your perceptions of women, and it's going to have you thinking that this is normal, and this is not normal. This is not something a normal man does, is sit there and wait for some woman to come on a stream in her underwear or some skimpy outfit, or wait for some nude pictures of a woman. He's not spending his time doing that. I mean, normal guys can go out here and have healthy social interactions with women and be able to have that that social interaction, and they will value that, because talking to a person face to face is something they value, that human contact, that human connection. And you can't have that with somebody on a virtual space and somebody who's presenting an imaginary persona regarding themselves. Like Sandman said about the female chameleon, and what she's doing is presenting a version of herself that is appealing to you. And this version of herself that's appealing to you is what she uses to get you to spend money to get to pay for that picture of her. But that picture of her is not the real her. And you're paying for these pictures, and again, financing this woman, financing her lifestyle. And in many cases, this woman is living better than you. I mean, if some of these women are making anywhere from 80 to 90, some of them even making six figures and living in nice homes, driving nice cars, and that's a lifestyle you could have for yourself. I mean, why should you make her rich when you can make yourself rich, and you can enrich the quality of your life? I mean, you could have your own money and use your own money to improve yourself. I mean, you could take that same money that you give one of these Twitch women, or one of these cam girls, or one of these Instagram models. You could take that same money, and what you could do is go out here. Well, I know a lot of the gyms are closed due to COVID, but you could spend that money if the gyms open back up. Go to the gym and build up your muscles, or you could start spending money on healthy food like fruits and vegetables and build up your diet. You could go out here and buy yourself some vitamins and build up your immune system. You could go out here and go out and find really stylish clothes like Brooks Brothers and really start making yourself look good. You could really start building yourself up. And as you build yourself up, as you make that investment in yourself, what's going to happen is you're going to start to really see these women for what they are, female predators, and you're going to start seeing that you don't need to be in these kind of places, because you're going to start to see a value in yourself, because each dollar you spend on yourself is going to improve yourself, and it's going to show your value in yourself. And again, as you do that, what's going to happen is you're going to start changing your energy. And when you start to change your energy, what's going to happen is you're going to start attracting people to you, and they're going to be wanting to have a relationship with you. And if you work on things like your social skills, like your life skills, what's going to happen is you're going to start having real relationships with real people. And yes, it's going to be painful for people like introverts and the socially awkward. And that's something I've had to deal with myself. But what's going to happen is once you start working past that pain, you're going to start to see real growth. And that growth is going to help you be able to learn life skills like learning how to read people, how to study body language, how to study nonverbal cues, and you're going to get a better understanding of people. And these are the skills that a lot of these guys, they don't want to work on. And because they don't want to work on them because there's pain involved, they would rather try to escape with these fantasies that are presented on your Twitch, your OnlyFans, and your Instagram instead of going out here and doing the work. Now, I know a lot of those guys, they get upset when I would say things like, you're going to have to do the work, and there's pain with that work, but pain is a part of life. And most men out here like myself, we know that, yeah, it's painful to go out here and get shot down. We know that it's painful to get rejected by women. We know that it's painful to have people, roast you and attack you. But eventually you're going to overcome, and that's going to drive you to do better. And that's because you're going to build a discipline, a resolve, and build up your strength of character. And what's going to happen is you're going to start saying, look, I can go out here. Yeah, she said no to me. She said no to me. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to be able to brush it off after a while. Some guys, they get so strong in it. It's like, well, with me, with rejection these days, I mean, I was rejected by so many jobs to the point where you brush it off, you laugh it off, and you still just keep going on because you have built up a resolve to the point where you're not fazed by it. And when you're not fazed, that really starts to show how your confidence is growing. And really, that confidence is the thing that's going to attract other people to you, because when you have this confidence and a strong masculine presence, that's really going to attract real people to you. And it's going to lead to you having lasting relationships, not these fantasies like that are being presented by these cam girls and these Twitch girls and these so-called Instagram models, because there's nothing real about their modeling. A lot of these women, in addition to selling a delusion to you, are in a delusion themselves. They're sitting there thinking that they're models, thinking that they're actresses, and there's no way that they're models or actresses. As someone who's been in knowing the entertainment business, I mean, if you ask them a question, who is your agent and who you're represented by, what will happen is they will just give you this blank look and say, I'm working on things, I'm doing my own thing. But if you were really in the business, you'd have an agent and you would be lining up gigs and you would be getting booked for gigs, and you wouldn't be looking to get small change from simps. That's something that low-seeded females do, and that's something low-seed females do, is look to get change from these guys. Joe Mushy, I have watched It's a Gundam, and I watched a lot of the stories he talked about. And yeah, many of these simps, they live in single-parent homes, and that's something I talked about in Stop Simping, is how a lot of these guys come from single-parent homes. And like Ronald was saying, they don't have a father around to teach them male life skills. They don't have a father around them to teach them how to interact with women. And they get things because they don't have anybody to teach them. They watch the internet and they're thinking, oh, this woman is, because she's paying me a little attention, but you're paying for that attention. And again, that's no different than what the strippers do. And again, like the simp and the stripper, he's caught up in the fantasy. And yeah, they caught up in it, and it's a big mess. Yeah, Supremo, I've heard from Ringo. He talks about these Instagram models too, but I know that some of them were escorts, because again, a lot of them came from Backpage, and Backpage was notorious for escorts to the point where the federal government shut it down, and those women migrated over to Instagram and became Instagram models. And a lot of the Twitch chicks, they're in that stripper phase. And again, it's only a matter of time before they escalate their behavior, because when you have guys spending money to pay for a woman's attention, what's going to happen is the more guys who drop more money, they're going to lead to her hypergamy kicking in. And what's going to happen is she's going to get a message from one of these guys. He's going to make an offer she can't refuse. And once that guy makes that offer, she's going to start to cross the line from being this so-called model or this so-called streamer in the sexy costume, and she's going to start doing just like the strippers do, starting to go home with the guys who are giving her tips and lap dances, and she's going to start selling her body for cash and being a prostitute. It's only a matter of time before these Twitch streamers and these OnlyFans chicks start going out here and instead of selling pictures for guys to selling their bodies for guys. And again, it's a slippery slope. And many of these females out here, they don't really even know what they're doing. They're thinking that they're the ones in control. But what's going to happen is they're going to wind up becoming very numb, very indifferent. And what's going to happen is they're going to wind up seeing that cash, and they're going to want to get more cash out of these simps, and they're going to go from, again, selling the pictures of their naked body and their scantily clad body to selling the booty. And this is what a lot of these so-called Instagram models and streamers, they don't understand the road that they're going on, because they're going to start getting greedy for the cash. And it's just a matter of time before we start to see the same type of prostitution and escorting that went on Backpage going on OnlyFans, Twitch, and Instagram. And it won't be done directly like what happened on Backpage. What's going to happen is it's going to be done with these messaging. These guys are going to make messages. They're going to make their pay through PayPal, and these exchanges are going to go on. And these simps, again, like Supremo was saying, they're going to be flying these women across the country, having them picked up, doing their business. And it even goes on right now with the Instagram models right now. Some of these Instagram models, I mean, I've heard horror stories about how these Arab men have taken some of these Instagram models overseas, and after they have fornicated with them, participated in acts of deviancy like urinating and defecating on them. And this is what's going on because, again, the hypergamy that these women participate in leads to them wanting to get more money. And in their efforts to get more money and resources out of guys, it leaves them open to participating in more debauchery like sodomy, and then other deviancies like corpophilia and other deviant acts. And what they will do after they've had their deviant acts and participated in these deviant acts with these simps is then try to go back home and pretend like nothing happened. Because just like I said in a previous video about the skeleton bones, this is what these women do, is they participate in these behaviors, and they'll put these skeleton bones in their closet, and then the guy, he won't even know he's getting this kind of woman. And even some of these guys who are married to these women and have kids with these women don't even know that this is going on, and they don't know that this woman has skeleton bones in her closet, and he's just thinking, oh, she just went to a Comic-Con or she just went to a show, and stuff is going on, and then she's coming back to you, and you don't know what has happened. And again, these comic fans, they don't know what's going on. They thinking that the women are one way, but they're not. And again, the simps, we have a lot of simps in the comic world, the sci-fi world, the fantasy world, the goth subculture, and they're thinking, oh, I'm just watching this show and it's fun, but they don't know that they are being put in a situation where they are being targeted by a female predator. And again, this female predator, she will do anything. And if you hear things like, oh, I've got a husband, I've got a boyfriend, this guy doesn't even know the slippery slope that this woman is on, because this woman is on a slippery slope, and she'll start out, oh, I'm taking a few pictures. I'm doing a live stream with these outfits, and eventually, what happens is somebody's going to say, I'm going to drop a 500 in a Cash App, or a G in a Cash App or something, or I'm going to drop some money in a PayPal, and she's going to go along with this because she wants to get paid. And it's a skeleton bone, but it's a skeleton bone that leads to her going into a dark graveyard and going out here and doing things on the low. And again, the simps, they're spending the money on this, and nobody knows at home what these chicks are doing. Luciano, why are simps so rude and hostile? Well, the simp is rude and hostile because he's defensive, because he knows that he thinks that what he's doing is right, but he doesn't understand that when people are trying to help him, that they're trying to keep him from being taken advantage of. So he's so caught up in his feelings about things, and he's thinking because he's got these positive feelings about the attention he's getting, he wants to continue getting that positive attention from these women, and he doesn't want to let go of those feelings. And because he doesn't want to let go of those feelings, that's why he becomes rude and hostile when another man is trying to tell him something. Another man is trying to tell him something for his own good, but he doesn't want to listen to another man because he wants to continue getting this attention from this woman, not understanding that there's positive attention from women and negative attention from women. And he just wants this attention in general, not understanding that the attention he's getting is negative, and this woman is only giving him attention so because she sees something he has, and she wants to get something he has, and she wants to get something he has because he doesn't know anything about social skills. He doesn't know anything, and because he doesn't know anything, she sees him as an easy target and an easy guy she can get over on. So a lot of these guys, they become rude and hostile because they are defensive, and other ones become very rude and hostile once they've been used by a woman, because a lot of these guys, they have this thing where they go from one extreme to the other. They'll be extremely naive about a woman, then once they get burnt, they want to turn into Mr. Misogynist. But what happened was that they don't want to digest and learn a lesson from their mistakes. So like a Tupac before him, they go from I was the nice guy to I need to be the bad boy. And again, it's two sides of the same coin, because these nice guys are completely foolish. And because they're completely foolish about women, they wind up going from being a tool that is used for his money to being another type of tool, because a lot of your thugs and bad boys, they also wind up becoming tools for these types of females. And in both cases, they all wind up getting taken advantage of. But when I look at this new trend, it's like these guys, they're getting taken really bad. And it's really embarrassing when I see these guys get taken. I mean, these guys are getting taken for hundreds and thousands of dollars, and they're practically, J-May, some simps can turn into red pillars if they listen to guys like many of the guys like the guys on the Men Going Their Own Way channels in some cases, or some of the men's channels out here. If they listen to the information, they can learn. And some of these guys, there's no turning them around like the incels and many others. But a lot of these guys can wind up turning things around if they're willing to listen and they're willing to learn. I mean, if you're willing to sit there and learn from other men and learn and listen to other men, you can avoid dealing with female predators like this. But a lot of guys, they don't want to, some guys out here, they just don't want to listen. And what happens is they wind up learning the hard way that they get played. So I just don't want to see guys get played like this, because, I mean, they get used really badly, because they go on these streaming services. They're sitting there for 2, 3, 4 hours watching this woman play video games, or they're sitting there and they're on Instagram just practically drooling over this woman, dropping thirsty comments in the direct messages, and they're wasting their time. And again, time is something a simp doesn't understand is precious. I mean, once you lose time, you can't get time back. And this is time they could have had out of their life to go out here and enjoy their life. I mean, you could have had a whole lot of fun doing a lot of different things, or you could have gone out here working and building something of your own, and you could have gone out here and had, a great life, but you would rather waste your life. That's Yeah, you can. Take a minute. Trey Titan asks, do you think you can start a successful business for under 10K? Yeah, I mean, I started the SJS Direct imprint for even less than that. I mean, you can start a business. Everybody who started a business usually started out of their home, or started out their garage, or like I did, started out of their bedroom. I mean, you can start a business. It's going to be rough in the beginning, but you can start a business, and it's not about getting the success early. It's about laying the foundation and then building with each block. I mean, each thing that you do is going to be a building block, and those building blocks, they are going to wind up eventually turning into something great. It's like building a house. When you go out here, I mean, you got to lay the foundation, then you start building the outer structures, then you go out here and build the inner structures and the rooms, and then eventually you bring in the electrical and all of these other different elements. You start bringing in things like the drywall and things like the plumbing. It's a process, and it's not going to happen all overnight. I mean, when I started SJS Direct, I didn't know what I know right now. I mean, I didn't know anything about networking with comic artists, networking with different people, and I didn't know anything about social media. I didn't really know anything about that. And over the last decade, I had to learn about these things. And as I learned, my products and the quality of my products has improved. And again, it doesn't take a lot of money, but it will take a lot of time and a lot of effort. And you have to be willing to put that time and effort in before you go out here and start making, big power moves, because a lot of people think it's all about power moves. But I'm still in the process right now. And that it takes one thing after the other. Young Link Jr., I'm glad to hear that I inspired you to keep writing, and I'm glad to hear you're almost finished with the first draft of your ebook. I'm glad I could inspire you to go out here and persevere, because writing books is very hard. I mean, it's not an easy thing. I mean, I have been on books where I practically wanted to give up. Like, for example, with The Man Crisis, there were times when I wanted to just throw that book in a corner. Sometimes I wanted to delete the file, but I had to persevere and keep pushing, because this book meant a lot to me, because I knew a lot of guys out here, they were suffering out here, and they needed to get information that would help them be able to deal with stuff. And when I look at a lot of these guys out here who are out here simping on these streaming services, I see more guys who are out here suffering, and I want to give them a helping hand so that they understand that they don't need to be sitting here on these streaming services wasting their time and their money. They really need to be out here putting in that work on themselves, because that work is going to be, again, as I've said before, hard work, but you're going to see a payoff sooner rather than later. And you're going to deal with a lot of pain, but like things like women saying no to you, people not being interested, and that's a lot of pain to deal with. But it's that from that pain you learn what not to do, and when you learn what not to do, then you can start working on the road towards having healthy and great relationships with women and great relationships with people. And it's like Supremo was saying, you have to realize what you're doing is a problem. And a lot of these simps, they got to understand that this behavior is a problem. I mean, this is not healthy, normal behavior to be going out here and spending money on some woman online. This is not healthy behavior to go to OnlyFans and buy some woman's pictures. This is not healthy behavior to donate to a Patreon just to get nude pictures of a woman. This is not normal behavior. I mean, it's not healthy behavior for a guy to be out here looking at a woman's rear end and looking at her body when it's just not normal. To be looking at it like that way in these pictures and stuff. I mean, yes, men like attractive women, men like to look at women, but to sit there and be online and having a fake relationship with this idea this woman is presenting of you, this isn't normal. I mean, yes, men like to look at women, but men want real relationships with real women. And the substitute you're having a relationship with, this takes you to a place of what I talked about in the man crisis, of being in this rose-colored world, and you having this idea that this is something real when this is nothing. I mean, this is garbage when you really think about it. I mean, you're sitting there and you're just playing with yourself in front of a picture of this woman, and that's pathetic when you really think about it, when you're doing this in front of a picture you paid for. I mean, and the fact of the matter is, you're paying more for these pictures than you would guys would pay for Playboy and Penthouse back in the day. I mean, you're paying twice as much and sometimes thousands more. And again, this is money you could have to go out here and put a down payment on a home and become a homeowner. Because when I think about that guy who spent 40 grand on this female, I sit there and said, that's a down payment on a house. I mean, an investment that would build wealth. That's an investment in the start of a small business. I mean, if you wanted to take a business to the next level, like what I wanted to do when I wanted to do the ISIS graphic novel, I want to go out here and take a business to the next level. So I want to raise the capital to do that. I mean, if I had that type of money, that's what I would be doing with that type of money. I mean, you could go out here and do something really substantive and, take yourself to another level. And what's going on, Duke? Glad to see you here. You could use this to start a business. I mean, $40,000. I mean, some of these guys have spent $10,000, $5,000. I mean, you could go out here. I mean, that's brand new car money when you really think about it. And that's even quality used car money. I mean, I've seen guys, when I watch a lot of the car videos, they go out here, they buy old used cars, they put a little money in them, and then they flip the car. And those guys are making real serious money just going to the auto auction, buying a salvage car, getting it together, putting in the parts, putting in the labor. And these guys are making money on these cars, but these simps, they're sitting in their mother's basement watching some chick on a stream, and they're sitting there watching this chick on a stream and giving her the money that they could use to improve the quality of their life. And then these same guys will sit there and say, oh, I can't get any women, nobody likes me in real life, and use that as a justification for going out here to continue watching these women on these streams and watching these OnlyFans and looking at this Instagram. I mean, they're sitting there using that as an excuse when you don't need to use that as an excuse. I mean, all you have to do is go out here and, again, put in that work, and you'll find that, oh, I'm actually enjoying my life and I'm having money in my pocket. And that's something that these guys really aren't thinking about when it comes down to these situations, is that you're just wasting your time, you're wasting your life. And a lot of these guys, they just, again, they need to get out like Supremo was saying, get out the house, leave the house, and just go out and experience life and find out, yeah, it's not as bad. The rejection isn't as bad as you think it is. If one says no, there's always others out there. And there's plenty of women all around out here who want to have relationships with people and possibly would want to have a relationship with you, but you don't want to go out here and give yourself a chance. And these guys, they don't want to give themselves a chance because, again, the low self-esteem, they feel like, oh, I'm not worth this. But the whole thing is you have to see your own value, your own worth, and say, look, I am worth it. And I'm going to put in these hours at the gym. I'm going to put in these hours reading books like Stop Simping. I'm going to go out here and read books like Misadventures of Captain Save-'em. I'm going to learn things that are going to help improve myself. And I'm going to go out here and once I start working on myself, see things that that life is what I'm thinking it is. And I can do better than a female who practically lowers herself and debases herself by going out here and showing what all she has to offer to you in a picture or a live stream. And again, this is all she has to offer because there's nothing of substance with her. I mean, if you have a female out here and she's going out here taking pictures of herself and so-called modeling on Instagram, which is laughable, or going on OnlyFans to sell pictures of herself, she doesn't really have much self-esteem or much value because any true to the game model, they're going to go try to find an agent and they're going to get booked for real modeling gigs and they're going to go and put that money, make money on real modeling gigs and have a portfolio. That's what a real model does. A fake model goes on Instagram and takes really bad Photoshop pictures of themselves and takes really bad pictures that are Photoshopped. And that's what they do, is take really bad pictures. And sadly, because these simps are so caught up in their lust regarding the fantasies these women are presenting, they can't see that these women are of a low grade and really are showing low character. And Joe Mushy makes a good point. Yeah, they can take martial arts, boxing, dancing, again, develop different types of skills. It's all about what you want to do. And a lot of these guys, they don't want to put in that work. They don't understand that there's so much stuff you can do out here to improve yourself. You could take yourself to the next level, but these guys would rather stay on the low level because, one, of the low self-esteem, and two, because many of them are afraid. And because they're afraid of taking a risk, they wind up looking for something easy. And their whole idea of easy is these women who are easily available on these streams, easily available on OnlyFans, easily available on these platforms. And again, they are easily available, but all they're doing is helping enable you to remain in a life of hardship, enable you to remain in a life of misery, and enable you to remain at the bottom. And this is something that a lot of guys aren't really thinking about, is you are just not going anywhere. And you're not going anywhere because you don't want to make an effort to get up, step up, and really take things and move things forward because you're afraid of going out here. You're afraid of failing. But, failure is a part of life. And I had a guy got upset because he thinks that I'm burping intentionally, but it's not. It's gas coming from the diaphragm, because when I'm speaking for long periods of time, what happens is you get gas from the diaphragm, and it happens. But I'm going to get back to the point. But a lot of these guys, they're too afraid of failure. They're too afraid of losing. But you can't be afraid to fail. You can't be afraid to lose. You can't be afraid to say no. And if you want people saying no to you, you just have to keep going out here and persevering. And you have to keep pushing, because the more you push towards any goal you have, eventually you're going to get success. It may not be in the place where you want it to be, but it'll be in the place God wants it to be. And that place will be a better place. But you cannot get anywhere without putting in the work, because just like in the Bible, it says faith without work is dead. You have to put in that work. And I would rather put in work on myself, put in work on something like one of my books, or put in work on one of my projects and invest in one of those things, or work towards doing something like a crowdfunding to get one of those projects off the ground, rather than spend money on one of these females who is on one of these things like Twitch or Instagram or OnlyFans, and all she has to offer is a picture of her backside. I look at that and I go, that's just a waste of money and time, because I can do more with my money. I can do better with my money, and you guys can do better with your money than investing in these types of women, because at the end of the day, these women, yeah, they're getting rich at your expense in the short term, but in the long term, they don't even see where they're going themselves. Because, yes, you're the young hottie on Instagram right now. Yes, you're the young hottie on Twitch in the live stream. Yes, you're the young hottie on OnlyFans selling yourself. But eventually, you're going to hit 25. Eventually, you're going to hit 30. And eventually, you're going to hit the wall. And guys aren't going to be checking for you in these pictures anymore. Guys aren't going to be interested in you. And by that point, you'll have practically escalated your behavior to prostitution or something resembling prostitution, possibly prostitution or stripping. And is that where you want to be in 5 to 10 years? I mean, that's the critical question I have to ask many of these so-called cam girls, Instagram models, and many of these Twitch streamers. Is this where you want to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now? I mean, eventually you're going to hit the wall. You're not going to be the attractive hottie. And what's going to happen is the simps who used to give you thousands of dollars are going to trickle down. And with there being so many of these chicks out here, there's going to be a new crop of them. You're going to wind up getting replaced by a new crop. And like the Me Too women, you're going to get upset when those people replace you. But the reason why you're getting replaced is because you wanted to be a harlot and not a wife, because a wife is somebody who would be secure because her husband would be taking care of her, and she would be focused on taking care of her husband. And this harlot, she's going to be out here all alone, no way of taking care of herself, no way of doing anything because she has no skills. And she's out here and she's trying to sell something that nobody wants anymore, because, as I've stated before in other videos, the pool of simps dries up for a woman when she hits her mid-20s, and that pool of simps winds up practically evaporating when that woman turns 30. And all the guys who used to look at you and wanted to buy your pictures, they're buying the pictures of other women. So this career path is not one that will be lasting long term. And it's something many of your Twitch streamers, your Instagram models, your OnlyFans females really need to think about, because this is not something that has a good long-term future. And the way you run through money, because you're getting it easy right now when you're young, you're not gonna think about the future of investing in things like 401ks, stocks, and bonds, because you think that the pool of simps are gonna go on forever. But eventually, a man reaches, when he's healthy, he stops simping at an early age. I mean, when a man gets through his simp phase, he learns not to spend money on women like that. And if guys go out here and again pick up books and stop simping, I'm gonna leave a link in the chat. They learn to stop looking to get attention from women and using money as an attachment. So what happens is that money starts to dry up once some of these guys start turning 16, 17, 18, and even some of these guys, when they start hitting their 20s and mid-20s, especially when a guy hits 25, he's not going to be simping at 25, 30 years old unless he's really sad and pathetic. Thank you, Kareem, for the super chat. Not super chat, Cash App donation. I really appreciate it. And if you want to donate to the Cash App, you can donate to the Cash App too. I'm gonna leave a link to the Cash App so you can donate via Cash App. But they're thinking about now, because many women, they're short-term thinkers. And thank you, Kareem 2018. What's going on? I'm glad to see you here. A lot of these women, they're thinking about the short term. Oh, I'm making money right now because they are at the height of their sexual peak, at the height of their attractiveness. They're thinking about now, but they're not understanding that once you hit 25, 30 years old, what happens is you're going to hit the wall, and you may even hit the wall earlier than that. And Ringo talked about that, because once you start escalating your behavior to going out here and doing like some of these Instagram models and prostituting yourself with these guys out here, you're going to hit the wall faster. And what's going to happen is you're going to have a messed up mind, a messed up spirit, and then your looks are going to fade. And again, when you're 30, 35 years old, you can't be on a streaming service trying to sell your body, because nobody's going to want to buy it. And again, the pool of simps evaporates over time. So this isn't a lucrative career for any woman. And again, guys, you shouldn't be investing in this, because you enable these females to remain in this dysfunctional state, thinking they can sell their bodies for cash, no different than what we saw happen on Backpage. And again, it's just really troubling as I see it, because what's happening is the things that the federal government shut down on Backpage just went to another site, similar to what happened when MySpace collapsed and everybody went to Facebook. And it just shows me a migration pattern. And this migration pattern, it's going for the worse. And the reason why it's going for the worse is because these predators, they've gone from going after your so-called Johns in the street to a pool that they know is gullible, very naive, doesn't really have a good understanding of social skills or life skills, because a lot of guys who are in the comic book world, the sci-fi world, the fantasy world, goth subculture. I mean, I've heard the horror stories about really decent guys getting taken advantage of because they were introverts and they didn't really understand how relationships worked. And these women would run games on them and direct messages, or they would run games on them telling stories about how they needed help with such and such things. And they would practically take these guys' money and leave these guys practically with nothing. I mean, practically make a fool out of a lot of these guys. And I just don't want to see that happen to guys out there. And I look at this whole situation again when I see the hijacking of Twitch, which has gone over the last year, and the hijacking of OnlyFans, which just started. I mean, OnlyFans just started, and you've got these females going on there, and they've practically hijacked the entire platform and turned it into a place where they're just shaking their behinds for cash. And that's something that's really troubling when you think about it. I mean, this website, just OnlyFans, just opened like a couple of months ago, and it's practically been overrun by females looking to get paid by putting up pictures and videos of themselves. And many of these guys out here, these simps, don't even know that all they're doing is hurting themselves, because every dollar you invest in her is a dollar you're taking away from yourself. And even worse, what you're doing is taking time away from yourself. What's going on, Burgers Meredith? Glad to see you here. Meant to say that before, but when I got on a thing, I just start talking. And yeah, I mean, and yeah, Twitch staff is a bunch of stiffs, J-May. I mean, they practically kicked off on all the gamers who are serious about gaming and have left these thoughts on the platform and give them free reign over the platform, and practically have turned it into a virtual repackaging of Backpage.com. I mean, if anybody, again, has read the story of Backpage.com and how it got hijacked. Same thing has happened to Twitch. The same thing is happening to OnlyFans, and the both of those sites are just practically being turned into, as I said, stripper platforms, because strippers, this is what strippers do. I mean, this is what a stripper does, is they sell you a look at their body in exchange for a tip, and they sell you extra if you go out here and are willing to pay for it in the VIP room, or if you're willing to take them home, they will give you extra. And I talk about that in the Misadventures of Captain Save 'em, which is available on Kindle, and you can get it on Kindle. If you have Kindle Unlimited for free, you can get Misadventures. I'll leave a link to that book in the ebook in the chat. But that's a book that has helped out a lot of men. And these gamers, what happens is they are trying to play the superhero and trying to play Captain Save 'em to these women. And when they try to play Captain Save 'em to these women, what happens is they wind up getting smashed in the face with kryptonite doo-doo, either where they give them a large sum of money, or they wind up finding out that this woman isn't who she says she is in real life. And it's just like I stated before, many of these Twitch streamers, they aren't what they appear to be in their fantasies. Some of these women have boyfriends. Some of these women are married. Some of these women are married with children. And some of these women are lesbians. So you are giving this woman money to live, again, a lifestyle at your expense, and they're having a great relationship, but what are you having? And that's a critical question you need to ask yourself before you drop another dollar on this woman's pictures, this woman's Patreon, or this woman's Twitch stream. You need to ask a critical question: what am I getting out of this, outside of maybe another look at this woman's body? And again, there are plenty of pictures of women on the internet you can see for free. So why are you spending all this extra money? Because this woman you think is going to talk to you, but this woman is not even spending any sort of concern on you outside of business. You want to make it personal, but she's all about business. So you need to understand the internet is a place of business. It is a place where people make money, and you can make money the clean way, the legit way, like I try to do with the SJS Direct Imprint, or you go out here and you can deal with these ratchets who are trying to make money by ripping you guys off and exploiting you. And what these women, they want to do is make their money by exploiting you, make their money by taking advantage of you. And they want to take advantage of one of the most vulnerable populations, as I see it. You know, comic fans, sci-fi fans, fantasy fans, guys in the goth scene, really pretty decent guys, but some of them don't have the social education. And it burns me up to see that these women are coming to these platforms where these guys go, like, because a lot of guys like to do gaming, a lot of guys like to go out here and watch Twitch to watch things like Impact Wrestling, and they go to Instagram to see these cosplayers, and these predators are just looking for a nice big, as I say it, big fat juicy simp to take advantage of, and they're living and enjoying their life. And it's like Supremo was saying, yeah, they're having vacations, buying their kids gifts, buying a boyfriend gifts, and sitting there laughing and enjoying themselves. And some of them, they're even talking about how stupid these guys are, because I've heard those types of conversations on the bus when I would go take my packages from when I was doing eBay sales, or I would go to the library. These women sit there and talk about how stupid these guys are, how dumb these guys are, how they can get cash out these guys. They're laughing at these guys. And a lot of these guys, they don't really know how people see them and how they see them as a laughing stock. While you're sitting there anticipating the stream, they're anticipating how they're going to get your money and how they're going to get paid and what they're going to do with your money. They're thinking about buying their boyfriend the new Jordans, buying them a new car, buying him a nice leather jacket. He's looking good, and what are you doing? I mean, you could be the one putting on the nice leather jacket or buying the nice shoes that she's spending on him. You could be spending that on yourself. I mean, you could buy yourself a nice top of the line computer. You could be doing things for yourself. And this is what these guys really aren't thinking about, that I want them to start thinking about. And that's why I did this stream, is because I want you to start thinking about what you can do for you, because you spending money on her pictures and you spending money on her stream, that's not improving your life, that's improving her life. And you need to start focusing on doing things that are going to improve your life. You need to start focusing on putting yourself first and putting your needs first. I mean, going out here and doing things for yourself, because this woman, she doesn't need you to do things for her. If she's got a husband, she's got a boyfriend, let him buy her things. Let him take care of her, because that's his responsibility. That's not your responsibility. And you shouldn't have to sit there and try to take care of another female, of a woman who has a man in her life. That's basically disrespectful. You're disrespecting yourself when you do these type of things, because when you go out here and you spend your money on her, when she's got another man and got kids by this other man, you're no different than the guy who's out here dating the single mom. And you're even worse, because you're dealing with a female who you don't even have a relationship with. So you don't see what you're doing to yourself. And I want you to think about what you're doing to yourself, because when you sit on these streams watching this woman, again, you're losing time out of your life, time you're never going to get back, time that you're never going to see again in your life, especially if you are in your youthful years of your 20s or your early 30s. These are your prime years, and this is time you could be out here, again, going out here to go out here and work on your dreams, work on your goals, work on the things you want to accomplish, and work on becoming the kind of guy you want to be. Because a lot of guys out here, they have an image of themselves in their heads of who they want to be. And all you have to do is put that effort in, and you can become that guy. And all you have to do is start putting that work in yourself. I mean, if you put that work in yourself, you are going to, again, your energy is going to change, your spirit's going to change. And when you start to change your energy and your spirit, what's going to happen is you're going to start attracting people to you who want to help you build. And possibly you might run into the woman who will become a wife to you, a helpmeet to you, a support to you. And you might have a great relationship, but you have to go again, put in that work, and not be afraid to put in that work, not be afraid to take those rejections, take those losses, take those setbacks, deal with those disappointments. I mean, these are things that are a part of life that you have to deal with. And this is something that these guys want to avoid, because they want to avoid pain, but you can't avoid pain. I mean, part of the growth process in life is dealing with pain, navigating pain, working through your feelings, working through your anger and frustration, and pushing and persevering. That that's all about, that's what this process is. And these guys, they wind up stuck in a state of arrested development because they would rather sit there in front of a computer screen trying to go out here and watch some chick on a cam show instead of going out here and living their life. And because when you go out here and you live your life, you can look at a real woman and you can have a relationship with a real woman and real people, and not sit there and watch some imaginary person, some person give you an imaginary fantasy and and have a laugh at your expense. So when I look at this whole situation with this simping on the streaming services, I see a situation that is really bad for men, a situation where men are in crisis. And these men who are in crisis need help. They really do need guidance. It's one of those reasons why I'm thinking about if I could ever go to a Comic-Con, in addition to bringing Isis and John Haynes books, I would probably have to bring some Stop Simping and the Man Crisis there, because so many guys there need to read books like Stop Simping, Misadventures of Captain Save-'em, and the Man Crisis, because those are the kind of books that can transform a guy's life, get him to take that look at himself, get him to take a look at his actions, and really get him to understand what he's doing in his life that is really messing him up. Because again, you spending money on a woman who's thousands of miles away on a streaming service, that's not constructive. You trying to have interactions with these women, that's not constructive. And you building this fantasy world around this woman who is just basically selling you a fantasy, this is not good behavior, because this is the type of behavior that really, it's not healthy, and it really doesn't help long term. And you really need to, again, you have to go work on yourself so that you can have real lasting relationships with real people. Luciano asks, why do simps suffer from status anxiety? Well, many simps are insecure, and many simps think that they need to they feel anxious because they don't feel like they can measure up. So they need to have a social status in order to feel like they have some sort of value. And again, they have low self-esteem because they don't value themselves. So they try to use things like attachments, like social status, attachments like expensive phones, expensive shoes, and they try to use these things to get attention from people. But what happens is it doesn't cure their insecurity, because the insecurity is coming from within them. And again, I talked about this in the Man Crisis. A lot of times these guys, they want to get women because they want the attention of higher status men. And I talk about this in Stop Simping as well. They want that attention in order to elevate their social status. But the whole thing is, if you see yourself as valuable, other people will see you as valuable. If you are confident in yourself, other people are going to see that confidence. And that's something that's going to radiate from the inside to the outside. But what the simp wants to do is use the outside and hope it attracts other people. But the people they attract to them usually are these female predators. And these female predators, all they're looking at is a guy's attachments. And once they see the guy, they want to use him as a tool to get those attachments for themselves. And this is why a lot of simps, when they get involved with certain women, they wind up either getting robbed or getting beat up or getting jacked up, or they wind up something bad happens to them because they are just caught up in their feelings about women, and they're not thinking critically about the relationship. Because when you go out here and you get involved with women, you have to have your head on straight. You have to be mentally, spiritually, and emotionally ready in order to get involved with women. And many of your simps, again, they have the emotional maturity of a small child. So they're thinking any attention is good attention, not understanding, again, there's positive attention and there's negative attention. And positive attention, you can instinctively see things like connections, chemistry, and you can see those things. But with the simp, he's just so caught up in the attention he's receiving, and his head is in the clouds. He can't see that there's no connection. He cannot, nothing is really resonating. There's no energy between you and her. All he's thinking about is, I'm getting attention from this woman, and it may possibly lead to an opportunity at sex. And if I want to get more attention, I have to do something. And because these guys don't have any life skills or social skills in order to, again, understand what nonverbal cues are, like body language, facial expressions, eye contact, they don't understand that some people will go through the emotions, and but there won't be anything on the inside that you can connect with. And because there's no connection, they thinking that, oh, because she paid me attention or she gave me a phone number, she's interested, but she's not really interested at all. So I look at it at this whole situation, and these are things that guys in the comic book world, in the fantasy world, the manga world, they desperately need these types. They need a wake up call on these kind of things, because it's just sad to see these guys sitting on Twitch, hundreds of these guys on a stream, or seeing them heading to this OnlyFans or heading to Instagram, and these guys throw good money at these women. And again, it's embarrassing to watch. And a lot of these guys, they don't want to hear stuff because they're caught up in their feelings, but they have to understand, people, when they're trying to talk to you like I'm trying to talk to you, we're coming from life experience, and we're also coming because we care about you, and we don't want to see you be taken advantage of. We don't want to see you made a fool out of, and we don't want to see you get used. I mean, Kareem 2018, I answered the question about why do simps suffer from status anxiety, and I'll answer it again. Again, it's because they're insecure and they need to have status in order to feel secure, but they don't understand that you trying to climb that ladder is giving other people power, and you don't need to be anxious about status, because if you have confidence, you don't need to worry about climbing somebody else's social ladder. You know that as a man, you have value, and if people want to come to you, they will come to you. It's not about you going to them or climbing a ladder on their terms. It's about you valuing yourself and people coming to you on your terms. So these simps, they want to go out here and they want to get this status. But the whole thing is, if you value yourself, I'm not looking to climb somebody else's ladder and looking for anybody else's status. I'm not anxious about the approval of others, because I approve of myself. I value myself. And because I value myself, I'm not worried about another man. I'm not worried about somebody else. I'm not worried about getting the approval of other people. And that's what the simp does. He wants that attention and approval from other people. And again, that's where you fall into a trap, because when you look for attention and approval of others, you give them power. And that's exactly what these guys are doing with these Twitch streamers, these cam girls, these Instagram models. They are giving them power over them, and that power they're giving is something that they don't know what they're doing. I mean, you're telling this person, when you spend money on them, that they have value to you and more value than you, because when you go out here and spend hundreds and thousands of dollars on this person, you are elevating them at your expense. And again, you as a man should not be lowering your value for some female who is thousands of miles away, somebody on a screen. Why am I lowering my value to get the approval, the attention of somebody who doesn't even see me as a priority? Because most of these women don't see you as a priority. They basically see you as just another customer. And if they're going to see you as another customer, then you have no business dealing with them. I mean, if you want a relationship with a real woman, then have a relationship with a real woman, and don't spend money on a woman who is basically a stripper and on her way to becoming a prostitute, because that's what your Instagram model, your Twitch streamer, your cam girl, your OnlyFans girl is. She's a glorified stripper. She's on her way to prostitution, and she doesn't know that the wall is coming, and eventually this lifestyle is going to destroy her, and you don't want to be along for the ride because you have to understand your value as a man. Because if you understand your value as a man, you're going to say to yourself, I don't need to be on this platform with this toxic female. The World Wide Web is a huge place. So many tools out here for me to build myself up. So many tools out here for me to improve my quality of life. But all I have to do is put that work in, because every hour I spending watching her is an hour I could spend working on me. And if I take myself to the next level, I don't have to deal with bottom feeders like these streamers out here, these female predators who only want to get rich at your expense and have a good laugh after they've gotten rich, after you've given them their entertainment, after they've given you their so-called entertainment. They're having a good laugh at you once they shut down their stream. And once they shut down their stream, they're having fun with their boyfriend, their husband, or their girlfriend. And what are you doing in your house? That's another question I want to ask you guys out here who are out here simping on these women. What are you doing after this stream? I mean, are you working on yourself? Are you building yourself up? I mean, these are things you need to be focused on, because focusing on getting her, that's not really something you want to do. I mean, you need to be taking yourself to the next level and not letting her elevate herself to the next level at your expense. Well, I'm going to get ready to wrap up tonight's stream, and I want to thank everybody for coming out to tonight's stream. And if you want to learn how to avoid predatory females like these cam girls, these Twitch streamers, these Instagram models, you can pick up my book, The Misadventures of Captain Save-'Em. Captain Save-'Em on Amazon.com in Kindle format. And this book is available on Kindle Unlimited for free. And in this book, I identify many of the female predators out there. I identify the behaviors they participate in. And I identify the Captain Save-'Em, who was a guy who has very little social experience with women, very little life skills with women. And again, many of the behaviors these guys participate in, I identify all of them so that they are in depth, so that you can learn how not to be like these guys and get taken advantage of. And you can also pick up Stop Simping, Why Men Don't Need Finance on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. And this is a book that will transform your life. You will identify these simp behaviors. You'll identify the simp paradigm. And I show a solution to the simp paradigm and breaking out of the simp paradigm with this book. And Stop Simping has transformed the lives of thousands of men out here over the last couple of years. And it can transform your life and take you to the next level socially. And in addition to Stop Simping, I also have the book, The Man Crisis, which has transformed many lives out here. And thank you, Yak Diesel. 1 minute. This book has transformed men's lives as well. Yak Diesel asks a great question. Thank you for the super chat. He asks, where do I see the future of these services as social interactions around the world starts to decrease? I see them becoming a very troubling situation, like I talked about in the Man Crisis. I see this type of social interaction leading to antisocial behavior, because when you have men out here having interactions with imaginary women and imaginary fantasies, it's like what I talk about in the Man Crisis about these guys having secret lives and entering the secret world. And in that secret world, it's the only place where they believe they can be masculine. And this leads to them going out and participating in sexually deviant behaviors and debaucherous behaviors, and possibly escalating their behaviors into sexual violence and possibly behaviors like serial killing. So these types of services are not good for the mental health of a man out here. And when you have a guy out here participating in these types of online interactions, they're not good for a man's mental health, because he's trying to get attention from a fantasy image of a woman, and he's not having a relationship with a real woman. And that was what leads to, again, a lot of these men not being in a good place and participating in deviant behaviors. I mean, a lot of these behaviors, like the playing with the dolls and stuff, this is not healthy behavior, or being out here, and it's not good for a guy to be like this. Again, God made man and he made woman, and a lot of these guys, they're on these services, and these services are leading to them becoming disconnected from people and being disconnected from understanding that people are human just like them. So I look at these services as not good for guys, and the simping is just one element of that, things being not good for guys, because they're not getting the life skill of understanding that you have to have social interactions with real women and real people. They're thinking, oh, I dropped a donation, that means I'm getting attention. But that's not normal. That's not a healthy connection. That's a business transaction. And that's not healthy for men or women to be involved with. And I remember I was watching a Paul Joseph Watson video on the same thing, and he said the similar things about how this simping is not healthy, and it's not healthy for a guy to be out here, you know, writing on these things with these women, because this is not how men and women have social interactions, and it's just troubling, because these guys they're living in disconnection. They're living on the internet, and they're not living in real life and having the abundant life that God wants them to have. They're missing out on all that, and they don't understand that, you know, these type of services, they are a disservice to men and women, and they lead to people not seeing people as people. So I hope that answers the question. And I hope that, oh, Luciano moved. Congratulations on your new home. But I'm going to get ready to wrap up tonight's stream. I want to thank everybody for coming out to tonight's stream. And if you haven't signed up for Chris Brown's Omega Black email list, I think it's the last week to do it. And if you sign up for that list and you go to because the Indiegogo is going to be starting on August 1st, I believe. And if you sign up there, you can get free shipping once you put in a pledge. And that's only to the people with the email. But I wanted to do this stream to help out guys out here and help them understand about these predators. And I want to thank everybody for coming out to tonight's stream. I hope you'll be there for next week's stream.